Chains rattle broken, now we rise. Flag in my hand, stars burn the skies. Truth ain't dead, though the liars try. They scream loud, but the words all die. Guys watching hands, praise to the throne. Freedom ain't free, blood built this home. Continue freedom, keep it alive. Red, white, blue, we bleed to survive. Continue freedom, keep it alive. Land of the free, ain't bending the knee. Truth in my veins, it's all I see. Patriots roar, no fear in the fight. Continue freedom, stand in the light.
Okay, welcome back to Continue Freedom. So this is interesting. This is an impromptu live stream. Was not planning to do one tonight. I hardly ever do one on a Monday night. But this deal with Don Lemon, it got me spun up, because he is doing something that, like, this is them crossing the line. They are now going into people's places of worship, and they are stopping. Hey, I see you. I don't know the future. Good to see you tonight. They're going into people's places of worship and disrupting active church services, all in the name of protecting illegal immigrants, criminals, people that Donald Trump is deporting. And this is it. It got me absolutely spun up. And I saw this, by the way, kudos to Benny Johnson. I saw Benny Johnson's interview with Harmeet Dhillon, and we're going to get to that. And this will probably be a quick stream, but you got to see, first we got to see the video. This is Don Lemon. Let me pull this one up here. This is Don Lemon going into an active church service. Of course, here he's talking to the pastor, and the pastor at this point is being very nice and very cordial. Let's play that.
It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship.
But there were folks who will say,
I have to take care of my flock.
okay, but listen, we live in there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus, because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world, is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here to worship Jesus.
Yes.
That's why we're here.
Yes.
Okay, that's why we're here. Okay. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
and love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a Christian?
No one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to chronicle what happened?
Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship.
Yeah.
We're here to worship. Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, so this is the depravity. First off, he says, freedom of assembly. We're going to fall back on the First Amendment. And of course, Don Lemon is saying, I'm press. This is private property. You don't have the right to break into private property and spout whatever nonsense you want to spout while people are peacefully worshiping their Lord. While they're praying to God, you can't just pop in there and start acting like a bunch of fools. And this is what they were doing. Here's the behavior had me steaming. It had me absolutely steaming. So listen to Don Lemon and his love for these protesters. By the way, we're going to get to how much he knew beforehand. Here we go.
People who are wearing the uniform now, you think they're patriots?
I don't think so, especially those ICE agents.
That's what I'm talking
no.
about. Yeah. Well,
No, they're terrorists. They're traitors.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your service. I appreciate it.
Today we
Thank you for your service.
had the honor to protest with Nikema Armstrong and the Racial Justice Network. Just like Jesus did, we went into that church and we flipped tables peacefully. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are your people? Why are you not at Whipple every day fighting for the humanity, standing for our people? Where are you? You drink your coffee, you got your jewelry, you have your nice clothes, but what do you do? What do you do to stand for your Somali and Latino communities? I'm not going to comment. You have no comment, exactly. As you can see, all these pretend Christians, all these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters. You come here to a man wearing a suit. Is a preacher? Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words No, Jesus would dine with immigrants. Do not touch me.
These
Touch
people
me
are
again and see
despicable.
what happens.
Hey, you can't. Don't.
You are a fake Christian. Why are you not standing with your Somali and Latino communities? Why do I not see you out at Whipple every day protesting this attack on humanity? Where are you? You're sinners. You're pretending to be Christians.
Virtue signaling, acting like a demon inside of a church, telling people that they're not proper Christians. This is the world that we live in. This is the type of people that we are dealing with. The behavior is deplorable. And so how dare he cast aspersions on people who are in here worshiping their Lord because they're not out, ranting and raving and beating up cops and trying to run them over in the street. We see this, and this is what we have to communicate to people. I ask everybody that watches this video, go and find this clip. So this one was posted by Nick Sorter. You can go and find Nick Sorter and show them and say, these are the people. It wasn't peaceful protest. This isn't peaceful protest. This is harassment in private property. Yeah, that exactly right, Jennifer. I see down in the comments, Jennifer says he sounds like a demon, and so many of them do. I'm not a theologian. I'm not somebody who's exorcised demons. I don't know what, but when you listen to them, and look, we know biblically, by their fruits you'll know them, right? And what these people are doing is wreaking havoc and destruction. Okay, from New Zealand, Jennifer. So I'm going to play a little bit more of this clip. Here we go. Let's play some more, and then we're going to get to the interview with Benny Johnson.
Easy life while people are starving. Living real comfortable while the people starve. Living real
Okay, I can't listen to any more of it. Now, the Trump administration says that they're going to be seeking prosecution. The DOJ, this was Harmeet Dhillon. She's the deputy attorney general or assistant attorney general rather, and she was on Benny Johnson's show, and she says that accountability is coming. Very interesting how they're going to do this. I think you guys will find it fascinating. So let's listen to this clip real quick. Quick interview here. Pull this up and let's go.
In this case, I see various crimes that have occurred. Exactly what they are, I'm not going to flag, but the FACE Act has been mentioned as one of the predicates there. In other cases, the Biden DOJ used the Klan Act conspiracy charges tacked on to the FACE Act in the case of protests outside abortion clinics.
By the way, the FACE Act, so that is the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrance Act. And if you guys remember, there were several people pardoned back in January of 2025 by Donald Trump who were peacefully protesting, but it was one of those carve-outs that the Democrat Party, that Joe Biden and his administration used to try and harass pro-life advocates and pro-life protesters or people that were simply outside praying. They would use the FACE Act. This is something that was obviously brought on by Planned Parenthood and their multi-million-dollar lobby efforts. And people were wrongfully imprisoned under the FACE Act. Now they're saying, how can we turn that FACE Act around and use it in instances like this?
To bring much longer sentences. So there are a number of tools available to us. Who funded this? What else? What other crimes may have occurred? Was there a use of the wires or the mails in preparing for this event? Did anyone cross state lines to do this? All of those are potential predicates for additional federal charges.
Harmeet, I've just pulled up the Klan Act because this is the first time that I've heard this mentioned. This is an act that was passed in 1871, correction there, to combat the Ku Klux Klan and protect African Americans' voting rights, especially the Enforcement Act, which is known as the Force Act. So here's some of the information on screen. Would you mind breaking down for us, because we have just read the FACE Act and how this is an affinity to the FACE Act, an obvious and egregious demonstrable violation of the FACE Act, because they were entering a place of worship, harassing and threatening. We just played a video of a bearded man, who was threatening to attack the Christians that were worshiping there. So it seems like an obvious FACE Act violation. But the Klan Act here, it is on screen. First time I've heard it mentioned. Can you unpack this for us, Harmeet?
Yeah, the Klan Act is one of the most important federal civil rights statutes, and it goes back to the time when President Lincoln emancipated the slaves, and yet the southern states, Dixiecrats mainly, were refusing to give them equal rights. And in fact, that you had sheriffs and you had law enforcement harassing the newly freed slaves. So the Klan Act is a law that makes it illegal to terrorize citizens, to violate their civil rights, to get together and conspire to violate the civil rights. It is often used against law enforcement, but is now used against others as well. So whenever anyone conspires to violate the protected civil rights of American citizens, the Klan Act can be used to bring a conspiracy charge. We, in the federal law enforcement parlance, call this 241 and 242 civil and criminal conspiracies. And so what the Biden administration did is, if three grandmas got together to pray outside an abortion clinic for the souls of the people inside, and including unborn children, they would say, oh, that's not just a violation of the Klan Act, that's a conspiracy to violate the civil rights of women going in there to get abortions. And so we're going to add additional charges and punish that more and make it from a misdemeanor under the FACE Act to a felony under the Klan Act. And President Trump pardoned the pro-life protesters in those cases. I have recently defended successfully in the 11th Circuit a case called Oropesa, a case of Jane's Revenge, the pro-abortion protesters violently attacking crisis pregnancy centers in Florida. And we had the court uphold the Klan Act criminal enhancement to the FACE Act. So I know this is very deep in the weeds, but the point is, there are a number of things. The FACE Act is just the start. Like I said, you have material support for disruptive activities. You have conspiracy to violate civil rights. You have potentially the use of other instrumentalities to commit crimes. And so some of these folks who did this have self-identified. Don Lemon himself has come out and said he knew exactly what was going to happen inside that facility. He went into the facility and then he began, quote unquote, committing journalism. And as if that's sort of a shield from being an embedded part of a criminal conspiracy.
So what this is saying is, like, if Don Lemon was around some people and they were going to go carjack somebody, and he says, oh, I want to tag along and see what happens, and he's there with them in the commission of that crime, and he says, oh, I'm the media, I'm untouchable. Well, that's just not reality. That ain't how this works. So Don Lemon, I think my assumption would be it's not going to be as high as the people who actually went into the court, because the media piece of that is going to be taken into account. However, accountability is what we're looking for. This is something we have been longing for years, because the left has used the legal system. They have used every law on the books that they could get their hands on to weaponize the justice system. In this instance, it's not weaponization. It's actual law and order. Now, the response from the church is what I'm going to be interested to see over the next day or two, because now that pastor his face has been seen. He's going to be all over social media, and how he responds is going to be an important component of this, because they could take the passive approach, which oftentimes Christians do. They say, no, I don't want. I'm going to pray for them, love them, and I hope that their soul changes, but we're not going to pursue any charges. At the very least, and somebody mentioned it down here in the comments, the security for that church and other churches, because when people do this and it gets this type of traction and it gets this type of visibility, there will be copycats. And it only takes one ultra-violent person for this to become catastrophic. They're getting bolder and more brazen. And I like that Harmeet Dhillon is saying, hey, we're going to see how far we can stretch this by bringing in the Klan Act. And again, like Benny had cited, the Klan Act of 1871. It's federal civil rights law passed during Reconstruction to combat violence and intimidation by the KKK and similar groups after the Civil War. So they passed the law to stop their violence and lynching, protect newly freed slaves, prevent state officials from ignoring civil rights violations, allow federal intervention when states failed to act, similar to the Insurrection Act. And I know somebody asked me in the comments, can we do a whole video on the Insurrection Act? And I said, yeah, I'll do a video on that where we talk about it. But when the state fails to protect its people, the federal government, under certain laws and under certain circumstances, has the right to step in and make sure the Constitution is being upheld. And that is not happening in this instance, because these are the people, the parishioners of that church, the attendees of that church. It is their right to peacefully and quietly sit in the church, pray to their Lord and Savior, and go have lunch at wherever they go, at Applebee's. But this is what they're trying to stop. And, you know, it's almost like they're treating this like a RICO thing. They're going to find every enhancement that they can and find every linkage they can. We know they're going to find their way to George Soros or Soros-funded organizations. Who are those people? Use this as the first domino to make the whole thing start tipping over, so that when these individuals are getting violent in the streets, they start realizing, you know what? Prosecutions are coming. I can peacefully protest, but the harassment, the violation of people's First Amendment rights, it will not be tolerated. So, the left is, like I say, they've been using the legal system for a long time, and what they do has a very strong cooling effect on we the people, because we're not the violent ones. You don't have to. They threw out all that nonsense years ago during Joe Biden, where he said, "Why, what dangerous white supremacy is the number one threat to America," which was nonsense. It was a completely fabricated statistic, and people ran with it because it came from the President of the United States, but it has a cooling effect. Nobody wants to be that. We're not those people, right? We are not the violent side. It only comes from one side of the aisle. And this video is, I'm saying it's RICO-like. I don't know the future. She said, I don't know. RICO is so difficult to prosecute. I'm just saying that she is treating this like what lines can we draw? At least that's how I heard her interview. What lines can we draw between all the people involved, and how can we expand the prosecution of this? Which I agree with. I think that's a good idea. These are networks of people, individuals being paid to harass, churchgoers, being paid to harass random people, being paid to smash every SUV they see, to include the ones that don't even belong to ICE. They're just random Joe Schmoes. Their vehicles are getting bashed in. So I want to, again, I told you this was going to be a quick live stream. What I want to do is hit a couple of points here. One, you could hear from the way that guy talked. He is not dissimilar from any other people in this movement, in their movement, the anti-ICE movement, the anti-Trump movement, the anti-right movement, the anti-conservative movement, the Democrat Party. Let's just call it what it is. They do not like Christians. They do not like, they hate a moral people that have some moral framework that rejects their found worldview, which is, as I call it, the religion of self. That's where they worship. They worship at the altar of self. They're the most self-absorbed, narcissistic people that you come across. And they will almost all, claim to be Christians. They will say, I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. In no way does their behavior show that. Don Lemon even said it. Oh, no, I'm a Christian. I worship all the time. I'm a Christian. But he doesn't follow the tenets of Christianity in a lot of ways. But they despise the moral authority. This is why they went after a church. Why are you not out here doing as I say to do? It's not about doing as God says to do, which is come to me in prayer. Worship, praise your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Come to me in prayer. Bring your problems to me. Let's pray for the people. Let's pray for the illegal immigrants. Let's pray for the legal immigrants. Let's pray for the ICE agents. No. They say, you do what I say to do, and that is to come out in the streets and bash in cars. That's what the left is telling them to do. By that guy whooping and hollering like a madman. You guys let me know what you think, but let's see. We've got a couple comments here I want to get to. And again, this is a quick stream, but the comments, my favorite part. Let's see. I don't know the future. Let's see. Don Lemon. Here you go. Don Lemon. Canna Michelle. Don Lemon would look wonderful in orange. We'll see what happens. And we know the response from the left. The response from the left is going to be, this is Donald Trump weaponizing the justice system. Right? So it's do as I say, not as I do. Don't do it to me, but we're going to do it to you at the first chance we get, which they did all throughout his first term, which they did between his first and second term, which they continue to try to do now. But he's kind of got them on their heels. They're not really getting a whole lot done against Donald Trump because he's moving at such a rapid pace. I mean, he is just running on all 8 cylinders, and they can't keep up. Let's see. The people up there are totally unhinged. I would either be holed up in my house or skipping town until things calm down and then moving. And you know what's crazy? This is what a lot of people feel like they have to do. They're like, I can't live in my own home. I can't live in my own town. I'm not safe. And this is what the left wants. They're seeking this. They want us to be absolutely terrified. So yeah, you're not dissimilar from other people. He's the one of those. That's funny. Zesty. That's funny. Not a chance. How do you feel about the? Oh boy, I could almost do a whole show on Pam Bondi. I'm okay with some things. Overall, disappointed. I didn't trust. Look, I didn't trust Pam Bondi very much because I didn't know a lot about her. She was kind of. Hate to say this, I might have some JD Vance fans here, but kind of like a JD Vance popped up out of nowhere. I knew nothing about JD Vance. Or I knew very little about JD Vance. I didn't know nothing about him, but I knew very little about JD Vance, and all of a sudden he's thrown in as the vice president. And then Pam Bondi, I'm glad. Let me be perfectly honest. I'm glad that she is in there and not Matt Gaetz, because I think Matt Gaetz is maybe that was the Lord looking out for us, but he's shown himself to be very different than what I thought he was. Let's just say that. Let's see. So Pam Bondi, I'm not overly impressed. I feel like she's more of a politician than a yeah. Let's see. You can just call me Future, by the way. That's my name on YouTube. Oh, Future. Okay. That's a lot easier than the whole thing. Future. Yeah. Let's see. Hey. Future. Let's see. I knew about Bondi from Florida, but I don't care for her as AG. Yeah, it's kind of like that's a good point, because it's kind of like Ron DeSantis, right? I know some people that follow me like Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis was a bad presidential candidate, but I would tend to think, the more I've kind of looked at it, I think it was more his team than it was Ron. I think that his team was trash. Whoever was running his campaign was horrible, and under certain circumstances probably could have done better. But I also didn't like the fact that a lot of these people were running against Trump, and we knew that we had the momentum behind him. So it was silly. Trump went after him and got crushed. But Ron DeSantis is a great governor of Florida. It's always on there anyway. She hasn't much since then. There you go. And this is what we kind of have to. I feel like we have to decipher some of this stuff. Who is getting into politics because they want a 7-figure or an 8-figure contract on Fox News, or whether it's left or right, they all know that if you get a key job in the White House or elsewhere, you're going to get one of those big jobs as a commentator. You're going to make bank, and you get car service, and you get all the perks that come with it. I feel like Pam Bondi may have been going for that. Now, I would say that somebody who I think would be absolutely primo on Fox News, but is amazing at her job, and that is our press secretary. Tell me I'm wrong. She is legit, absolutely legit. Let's see. She's better than the new AG of my state. Our AG is, let's see. Bondi is not unlike the feckless and Neil's Jeff. Yeah, Jeff Sessions he ruined his reputation. Yeah. Let's see. Oh my goodness, it is infuriating. People are unhinged. I am thankful nobody was physically injured, but people are not. Yeah, there you go. It was a Baptist church. I didn't realize it was a Baptist church. They don't care what kind of church. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if it's Baptist, non-denominational, Presbyterian, Methodist, Seventh-day Adventist, or you pick your your denomination. They just see a cross, and that doesn't. They rotate it, and it becomes an X. It's a target for them. They don't like him. They're not going to like us one way or another. Let's see. Yes. Oh boy, bless your heart, Virginia. Oh, I was in Virginia. I was in Virginia for like several years. I mean, probably 5 years or so. I went Tennessee, then I traveled the world. I was all, for the military. Then I was always a Tennessee resident. I came back to Virginia, and oh boy, now I'm back in Tennessee. Virginia stresses me out, Tina. It just absolutely stresses me out. Let's see. Okay. All right, guys, I think, let's see. Did I miss any other comments that I really wanted to get to? Let's see. When exactly are we going to see? Oh, here we go. I missed this one up here. Yeah. And I think we kind of talked about this. I know this was one of your earlier comments, Ken and Michelle, but yeah, when are we going to see, people in jumpsuits? I don't know. I don't know. We're always so restrained over here on the right, and I feel like Donald Trump is disrupting that a bit. It hasn't been. Look, we have to stay within the measure of the law. The left is more than willing to push it or step outside of the bounds of the law. For us, if we can make legitimate prosecutions using the letter of the law, then I think we absolutely should. And for, over here on the right, we have a huge number of people that are conservative Christian folks, and a lot of them are going to want justice. Some of them aren't, but a lot of us are. So we'll see. Who knows? Let's see. We have pros at ours. Pros at ours. Yeah. There's several people that are offering up services for it. Look, I've seen churches that are doing, in fact, I know of a couple of churches who have a detail. It's volunteer. It's people that have their CCP. They go through training and they have meetings regularly. They have training regularly to go through, as we would say in the military, battle drills. But they are here's the scenario, and you respond to the scenario, all in the name of protecting their people. And I know my dad's a pastor, and he has to deal. He knows who in his congregation is prepared to step up and help protect, and you have to. They're gonna hate you. I mean, this is the way it works. It was spoken out in the Bible, right? That they're gonna hate you, and you got to be prepared. You got to be prepared for the violence. Yeah, it's the other thing. When you work within the law, things move slowly, and we don't have a lot of patience. I think that's part of our problem. And the left moves so fast. I mean, they are moving at lightning speed when it came to prosecutions, but they're also stepping outside of the law, committing, they're perjuring themselves. They don't care. And sadly, it just moves faster that way. And they're okay with it. We're not. We have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. It's kind of like fighting an enemy, which we've had to do. For 20 years we did. We fought people that don't care about the Geneva Convention, law of armed conflict, laws of war. They don't care about any of those things that keep us at a higher moral standard. And that's kind of what we're doing with the left. So yeah, I wish them well, and I hope that hope and pray that they come around to a better worldview. But in the meantime, we're going to stick to the letter of the law. People have to be prosecuted under the letter of the law, and we can't sacrifice our moral high ground. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that you're, by the way, I'm not saying that you're implying that. I'm just making a point off of your comment. So let's see. Sadly, my governor, Spanberger, has decided to not work with ICE, and they are now warning on the news where ICE is. And oh boy. So wait, you're telling me that that Spanberger decided to not work with ICE, and they are now warning on the news where ICE is in our state. Oh, so the local news is saying, but they've done this in several places. Hey, ICE is coming. There was the raid that it was reported early on when the deportations were really ramping up, and the number of deportations was skyrocketing, and yet they were showing up at places and they were empty. So they had tips, they had confirmed intel that there were troves or loads of illegal immigrants there, and they'd show up and it was empty. These buildings were completely empty because individuals were tipping them off. But we're finding leakers, and just like the leaker, but right before the Venezuelan attack, that person's already in jail. Score. So there you go. All right, let's see. Hey, welcome back. Well, guys, I've come to the end of the comments, and this was all. I had a couple of other things that I'm gonna save them for my show. Hopefully tomorrow. The plan is to do one at my normal time tomorrow. At 6, so at 6:30 is generally when I'm going live. It gives me time to get home and get the show together and start going live. But I appreciate everybody that came in here. I know you guys can tell how frustrated I am with this. I know you guys are as well. But we just have to stay the course. I'll keep bringing you guys information as I find out more about the prosecutions and all that good stuff. I think it's important that that we keep tabs on that stuff. It's a rough world out there, but we're building a great community here. If you're new, please, because I haven't even thrown this up yet, hit that subscribe button, like button, and notification bell. It helps you get notified every time I release something. And I want to welcome all the new folks. We've had several new people subscribing here. We've had a couple new ones over on Rumble. Rumble is usually slow going, but be sure to follow me, not just here, but on X. If you hop over to X, I'm at Continue Freedom everywhere. So yeah, follow me there. I do very little on Facebook and Instagram. Let me see if I've... Yes, I'm going to. Yeah, so I'm going to actually play there's a whole video of some guy. He was the guy... he's the accountant guy. And I saw that one on X. Somebody had posted that. I'm going to go through that whole video tomorrow. And I'm probably going to pick and pull a couple of pieces out because it was a pretty long video. But, I've got points on it. I don't want to spoil it. But that guy, he in trouble. There's a lot of people that are going to get their comeuppance for what they've been doing. And it stems back to what I've been talking about for multiple episodes over the past month or so. And that is the lemmings of Candace Owens. Candace Owens is eventually going to get it. But these lemmings who were just repeating everything that she said, and now they're getting what's coming to them. Sorry, you can't just defame people. You can't make false allegations. You can't throw out, conspiracies and implicate people in very egregious crimes and not have some sort of repercussions. So probably tomorrow is when I'm going to talk about that one. So there you go. That's it. There is in fact, I listened to, James Tour. I would recommend people go listen to James Tour and Oz Guinness. Two brilliant, brilliant people. And they talked about the God of self. It was very interesting. I've been saying it. I don't want to say I coined the term because I absolutely didn't, but it's a term that I use on a regular basis. I have no idea where I got it, but that's what everybody's got, a God-sized hole in their heart. You're going to fill it with something. And a lot of people, most people who don't have God in their life, they fill it with self. So it becomes the God of self. You're worshiping at your own altar. And that means that gives you moral relativism and all the other destructive, mindsets of our society. So yeah, we'll talk about all that, but it is the God of self. Okay. Guys, my X handle. Yes. My X handle is at Continue Freedom. So I'm at Continue Freedom on how I got it all. I don't know, but I'm on, Rumble, X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. I got all of them. And yeah, I'm everywhere. Okay, guys, you have a wonderful evening. Thanks so much for stopping in. God bless you, and I'll see you tomorrow night. If I don't do tomorrow night, I'll throw a post up. But so far, we're on schedule for it. God bless, guys. Have a great evening.